There we go. Okay. I know. Well, this is my husband's for church, so he was like, I'll put it on the website. And I'm like, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I've probably shared my testimony with some of you just like very briefly. Hi. So I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up Catholic. I was baptized as a baby, all the things, got my first communion, but didn't really like going to Catholic church. My mom would make me on Sundays, and I would know when the service was getting to an end by like when you would take communion. I knew there was like 10 minutes left and I couldn't wait. But I wasn't really interested in it. And as I was writing this, in hindsight, looking back, I had like a good childhood, but I realized that my dad wasn't really involved, classic daddy syndrome or whatever. He wasn't involved. He was there, but he wasn't, he didn't spend a whole lot of time with us. And so he was a good dad, but my parents also had, some struggles in their marriage, but they did stay together. And I always believed in God. I always knew that he was real, but I was always searching for my purpose on earth. I was very deep when I was a kid, and I was just always, what's my purpose here? I think we all kind of think that in some sense, just some of us feel it a little more. But I was very emotional, very, and so whatever happened, I'm not really sure, but when I was in probably 8th grade to freshman year, I somehow got caught up in the wrong crowd and made some really, really bad decisions and kind of just tore my life apart. I won't go into super detail because there's kids here, but you can imagine, being a freshman in high school, just the things that I got myself involved in, and was robbed of a lot of things as a young girl. I think I was 13 when I went into my freshman year. I was young for my grade. So, that happened. And then I guess I decided to stop hanging out with those people. And I turned my efforts to try to find purpose to church again. And so I got involved with, I started to pursue my confirmation, which, if you don't know, that's just a sacrament of the Catholic Church. And that involved doing Bible studies. And at that time, I actually I was deciding to go. I wanted to go. I wanted to be involved. And it was almost like a youth group. It was kind of funny. You share something, people would share a testimony of what God had done in their lives. They would share songs in the middle, and it was just a very emotional thing. And it gave me an outlet for my emotions and kind of gave me that purpose that I was longing for. But it wasn't rooted in Jesus. I never heard the gospel, at least not presented to me clearly. And it was about God, but it was really just like a social outlet. And myself included, nobody really lived out their faith. It was just a Sunday thing. So it gave me an outlet, but it definitely wasn't the truth. And so let's see. So that brings me to 2006. My mom, while this is all happening, she started searching. So she was always the one that brought us to Catholic Church. She was the one that forced me to go. And so she started searching. She started realizing, like, there's more. There's something more to this. This is not it. So much so that she even invited, like, Jehovah's Witnesses into our house to sit down and talk with her. And she quickly knew that they were not the real deal when she brought up hell to them, and that, why don't you believe in hell? And they just kind of ignored her and wouldn't answer her question. So thankfully, God, saved her from that. But she was searching. And so it's so interesting to me, just like we're all on our own, not to sound cliche, but we're all on our own journeys. Like, this stuff is going on with me. My mom is searching, and her heart is, yearning for something more. And so I guess somehow she found a Christian radio station. It was actually a Calvary Chapel radio station. And she would listen when she, I guess, drove the bus. She drives the school bus. And they were talking about a church. And so she emailed them and asked them if there was a church. There turned out to be one just over the border in New York, like 20 minutes away from our house. So she started going. And that was she told me, I didn't know when she started going because I wasn't interested. But she started going in November of 2006. Or sorry. She started going earlier than that. My dad. So she would ask us every Sunday. She started going. She really knew that there was something different, but she hadn't given her life to the Lord yet. And so she would ask us every Sunday without fail. And just constant, do you want to come to church with me? And it wasn't like, she wasn't being nagging or anything. She just asked us, do you want to come to church with me? Come to church with me. No. Even my dad wouldn't go. And so finally, my dad, apparently, these are his words, he said he thought to himself, well, she does so much for me. The least I can do is just go to church with her one day. And so he went with her in November of 2006, and he continued to go with her. Again, the church just taught the Bible. They just taught about Jesus. They taught the word. There was no watering down. It was a wonderful church. And December, Christmas Eve of that same year, they both stood up and received Jesus. And I just saw their lives just take off and just totally radically different. They just loved my dad loved my mom so much and was just obsessed with her again. And my mom's attitude started changing, and I could just see that. I could just see that God was doing something in their lives, but I didn't really know. I didn't really care. That's your thing, not my thing. Good for you. And so, careful. So let's see. I was trying to figure out my timeline because I'm I'm 15 years removed now, or 20 years. And I was trying to find out the timeline, but while my mom was searching, I had been in a relationship, and I only bring that up because it's pertinent to the story that right after they both got saved, that relationship ended abruptly, and it was the worst thing. Despair. I'm sure you've all felt despair and sick to your stomach, heartbroken. That was what it was. And it was no hope. I didn't have Jesus. I had no hope. It was terrible. So my mom saw me going through all this. And then my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I saw her go through that and really just trust in the Lord that he was going to heal her. She just knew that he was going to heal her. She didn't have an explanation, but she just knew. And she just had joy and peace, and it was just incredible to see that. So that was my senior year. And so I graduated, and I was all set to go up to Boston to go to school. I was accepted to a college. You can guess why I was going to go to Boston. Not for myself, but I was accepted and ready to go. And I was I am not going to community college. I'm not going. That's the worst thing ever. It's high school 2.0. I'm not going to community college. Well, in all of the stress and distress, I missed the deadline for housing. And so I did not have anywhere to live. And I had to stay home. And now I look back and I'm that is God's provision in my life, letting me stay home. My mom was going through chemo, all the things. I think she had stage 3 cancer, breast cancer. And I'm totally not looking at my notes. So, so I was able to stay home with her and watch her go through chemo. I shaved her head, all the things. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. And she did, God healed her. She is alive and well today. And so my point in saying that the relationship ended, I just took off and went total back to what I used to do. Again, I won't go into detail, but just tearing my own life apart, doing the worst of the worst in my eyes, and going after everything that I could to try to fill that need for love and acceptance in life. Anything you can probably think of, that was it. And so, and of course I didn't find fulfillment in those things. Those things left me empty and left me just dead. And so my mom comes home one day, fast forward, that's 2 years to 2009. My mom is still going to church. Her and my dad are still going to church faithfully. And my mom comes home from a Valentine's Day thing with my dad. She goes, "You have to watch this movie. It's so good. It's so good. We just watched this movie." And I said, "Fine, Mom, I'll watch a movie with you, whatever, And so it's the movie Fireproof. So I'm going to show a clip. But if you don't know, no, you're fine. It's really just what they say. Okay. You're I know, it's okay. So, but if you don't know what the movie's about, it's basically, it's a love story, but it's about, just put that over there, thank you. It's about, no, don't touch. It's about a couple and the husband, they're going through, marital problems, and the husband is doing this love dare that his dad told him that he should do on his wife. And basically, he's doing all of these things to try to love his wife back, doing all these things every single day, making her coffee, and the clip will explain it. But, so I'll show you the clip, and then you'll know why. It's only like 3 minutes long, so. We've all probably heard that a million times, but I had never heard that before. And so I'm on the couch, covering my face, sobbing in the couch. And, God just really it was as if I had seen all of the things that I had said I had been doing that were, that were good, that were okay. I was good with the Lord because my heart was in the right place. It was like all those things flashed in front of my face, and I realized that I had just rejected him, that, nothing that I did was good, and I had just rejected him my whole life. And I realized that that he had been pursuing me my whole life. And so I just had never heard that before. I don't know how to explain that. Being that I grew up in a Catholic church, you would think that I would have heard it, but I never heard it. Maybe my heart wasn't ready to hear it, but so anyway, I started going to church that Sunday, and I was going to church for a few months, and I was learning, and I was so engaged. And again, they would just teach through the Bible. They would just teach verse by verse, chapter by chapter, and I was just so interested. I wanted to know more. And even though I didn't agree with everything that, he would say things, and I'd be like, no, I don't really agree with that. My mind was so washed by the world that I really had to just learn to trust him. And so I did not grow up in an evangelical Christian household, so I did not know that you could just ask Jesus into your heart in the quiet of your own home or whenever you wanted to. So I was waiting until there was an altar call. They would do altar calls every once in a while at our church. Not every Sunday, but they would do them every once in a while. And so I waited and waited until I was ready for a couple weeks, and I just waited until somebody asked if anybody wanted to, receive Jesus. And finally, in May 24th of 2009, somebody at an event, a church event, they asked if anybody wanted to ask Jesus into their heart. And so I stood up, and of course my mom and dad bawled, and but after that I still struggled, being in the world and in the church. But my heart was different. When you come to the Lord, your sin is different now. You realize that you're apart from him when you sin, and you realize that you're not good, if you're in constant sin. And I was, for probably about 9 months. And then just one thing happened, and I kind of just snapped and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not living a double life. I'm going to choose to follow Jesus and not look back. So then I was baptized the next summer in the ocean, in the Jersey Ocean, Jersey Shore, whatever you call it. Yeah, Old Bridge, or I don't know what the beach is called, but it was at It was at Old Bridge, New Jersey. Yeah. Yeah. I could think about what beach it was, but I'm not sure. Tim baptized me along with somebody else. But yeah, and so I just started diving in. I just started serving in children's ministry, worship team, eventually youth group, and then I met Tim. And so that is, my testimony of how I came to the Lord. But I think a lot of times, I was thinking about this, we tell our testimonies, people ask, how did you come to the Lord? And that's good. That has, that definitely has its place. It's, God told me to do it today. But, I don't know who that is. But we forget to kind of talk about what God has done or what he's continued to do. And I think when I first got saved, that my friends thought that it was a fad. They thought that it was just going to fade away. And but it's not a fad. It's not a crutch. It's not a just for me kind of thing. And you guys all know this. I know you're all, believers. But it's the truth, John 6:68, Lord, to whom shall I go? You have the words of eternal life. And Psalm 139 says, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. It's just the truth. Oh, yay. Hi, guys. Come in. No, it's okay. Oh, so sweet. It's okay. Good. I'm glad they're here. We're almost done. Don't worry. So yeah, he's just faithful. Like I've just seen, Tim and I got married. I met Tim at church. My parents knew Tim before I even knew Tim, and they loved him. And I've seen, miracles. I've seen my niece be healed of a hole in her heart with no medical explanation. I talked about before the promise of friends and fellowship and a house full. I remember having dreams about a house full of, like actual dreams about a house full of people and who love Jesus. And it's happened multiple occasions here. And, prayed for my sister for a long time because she wouldn't just surrender to him. And she finally did. And she's following the Lord, and so is her family now. And, God brought us across the country here. We didn't know why. And he has a plan, deep grief. My dad is passed now. He's with Jesus. I got to say goodbye to him. I got to watch him leave. And, talking about comfort. God comforts you so that you can comfort others. I've deep hurt. That's just because it's not fun doesn't mean the Lord didn't work through it. Disappointments from people who I trusted or loved, and thought would be better, but weren't. And I'm not perfect, but, just lots of things. And joy, the 5 beautiful kids and friends and just things I could never ask or think. He gives above and beyond all we can ask and think. So hopefully that encourages somebody. Hopefully it encouraged you, or, some of the verses. But, if you're in a hard season, he's not finished. Where's that verse? I wrote it down. Philippians 1:6, being confident of this very thing, that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. So we're still here. So he's not done with us yet. He's still working. And if you're in a hard season, he makes beauty from ashes. And if you're in a season of waiting or praying for somebody to come to the Lord, he can do it. He's the God of the impossible, right? He can do anything. So I would like to share a song with you. I did print out lyrics because it's kind of hard to hear what they're saying. Some of you know this song already, but I would just like to share it with you guys because I think it's a good one. And then you are free to go. No, you're free to hang out and fellowship because we still have 45 minutes left, or however long you want to stay.
So we're going to sing this together?
Yeah, let's worship together. And
thank you for testimony.
Yeah, thanks for listening. 23 minutes. You didn't stop me.